Hello and welcome to another TLDR US video. Yes, you're absolutely right. This isn't the most serious or necessary video we've ever made. But with some pretty bleak events barely in the rearview mirror, and tumultuous times likely ahead of us this week, we thought that it would be a good time to have a bit of fun and look at Biden and Harris's official inauguration playlist. Official political playlists might sound like an odd or novel concept, but they've actually been emerging for a while now. In the UK, the Conservative Party released one during the last election called Lo-Fi Boris Wave Beats to relax / get Brexit done to. Clocking in at over an hour, this chilled playlist even had some clips of Boris Johnson edited into it. And I know what you're thinking, this is a joke, right? Well, maybe it is, but it's sure as hell on the Conservative Party's official YouTube channel. Less elaborate than SoundCloud mashups, including your leader's speeches, a playlist put together by the likes of President Obama, and even a politician who was hoping to take over from Angela Merkel in Germany, something we discussed over on the TLDR EU channel yesterday. Anyway, the point is that political playlists might be weird, but they're less weird than they might have seemed a few years ago. Politicians are starting to use music and social media not only to campaign, but also to come across as more relatable, communicate a message, and integrate deeper into your lives. I mean, I spent 3 hours listening to music chosen by the president-elect, or likely more accurately, his team. Before we get into the contents of the playlist and the message it sends, let me quickly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. With a big week ahead, including Biden's inauguration and what's expected to be a big first day in office, we have a lot to talk about this week. So if you want to stay in the loop, then subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're into other politics too, or just want simple explanations of countries around the world, we have UK, European, and our brand new global channel to cater to all of your needs. All of those can be found linked in the description. When looking at the Biden-Harris playlist, you might question why we're taking this so seriously. They chose 46 songs, one for each president, with the help of D-Nice and radio. Probably just songs they like, right? No need to overanalyze. Well, make no mistake, moves like these are inherently political, and there's definitely something to learn from the choices they've made. Could we learn more about Biden's political intent by looking at his policies? Sure, but we already did a video on that, and we wanted to have fun and look at a Spotify playlist, so give me a break. Scroll through the playlist, which we've linked below, you'll find a variety of songs, from music legends like Led Zeppelin, Bruce Springsteen and Earth, Wind and Fire, to modern day icons like Dua Lipa, Burna Boy and Beyonce. In fact, when we looked at the year of release, we found a good variety of decades, and while the 70s picked up 13 tracks, the 2010s matched that, and even the 2020s got 5 songs in. These names might give you an idea of what to expect, but the playlist actually has quite a mix of genres. Now, nailing down genres is always difficult, but from our analysis, we found that the most popular on the playlist are R&B, followed by rock, funk, and hip-hop. These genres and song choices might be a little surprising from a man set to be the US's oldest ever president, but as I alluded to, this is likely more of an effort to communicate attitude and ideology, rather than Biden's favourite songs. Otherwise, I would have expected a lot more Springsteen and Stevie Wonder than the one track that each received. And I'm not just projecting either. We can pretty accurately assume that Biden's a fan of Springsteen, with We Take Care of Our Own acting as his personal campaign theme song, often accompanying him at rallies and acting as his walk-on music. Harris's signature campaign theme also made it onto the playlist. Mary J. Blige's Work With That. Their partners, Dr. Jill Biden and Doug Emhoff, also got their own personal themes added too. Hall & Oates' You Make My Dreams and New Radicals' You Get What You Give, respectively. Kygo and Whitney Houston's Higher Love also made the mix, a song synonymous with the pair's victory and acceptance speech in November. So it's clear that some of the songs were personal choices, those hummed by the campaign and associated with their work. However, the broad strokes of the playlist are designed to send a message to those listening. In fact, the playlist itself seems to reflect the incoming president and vice president, a fusion of genres, cultures, and eras. The artists themselves illustrate this attempt at inclusion and reflection, with a number of both male and female solo artists, though the maths is admittedly ruined by the number of bands and collaborations that don't fit into one category or other. The same thing can be said about the race of the artists, with black artists making up a big chunk of the track list. It's not just the artists either though, with a clear preference for uplifting and optimistic songs, including the Sound of Blackness's song Optimistic. No, I'm being serious. Songs like You Make My Dreams, Levitating, Unbelievers, and Find Your Way Back give the whole playlist an optimistic and uplifting vibe. Biden and Harris are trying to project a sense of hope for the future, which is probably why The Sound of Silence never made the cut. Now, we're no expert musicologists, but we've had the playlist on in the background while working on this script, so we feel just about qualified enough to give a bit of a comment when it comes to the calibre of the tunes. As a relatively young group at TLDR, we were obviously more aware of the more recent songs and artists on the playlist, but left on shuffle, we realised that most of the songs were also very well known and popular. In fact, one of our writers described it as one of those where you don't know the song's name, but when you play them, you're like, wow, I remember this, what a banger. However, the lack of Jonas Brothers does really hold the playlist back though. That being said, these bangers, as mentioned, are overwhelmingly pretty upbeat and happy, and for good reason. Inauguration Committee Tony Allen's comments seem to confirm this effort for positive and diverse sounds, with him remarking that they're the score to a new chapter that will help bring people together as the Biden-Harris administration begins its important work to unite the country. Speaking of the inauguration, it's fairly obvious for COVID and terror reasons that it's been decided that the scale of the inauguration will be reduced this year. Biden will still be taking the oath of office outside the US Capitol midday tomorrow, joined by Lady Gaga, who's set to sing the national anthem. During the inauguration, Biden will also set out his vision for his first term, as is customary, but he'll be doing so for a watching TV audience, rather than huge crowds in Washington. That's because normally some 200,000 tickets are issued, but this year that's been cut to only 1,000. In fact, the event's so scaled back that Trump's not even turning up, with the president confirming on Twitter before, that he wouldn't be attending the inauguration. In fact, the outgoing president is hosting his own alternate event at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland at 8 on Wednesday, a mere 4 hours before Biden takes the oath. Currently, it's not clear what his event will entail, but given the stars who turned up to his inauguration, it's unlikely to be a huge star-studded event. Although, according to the president in 2017, he doesn't want them anyway. Regardless, it's speculated that the singers might be swapped out for a 21-gun salute, before the president boards Air Force One last time, bound for Mar-a-Lago. However, to make up for the lack of big inauguration and presidential handover from Trump to Biden, the Inauguration Committee is instead producing a primetime TV special, airing on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, Samsung smart fridges, Oral-B electric toothbrushes, Nest thermostats, and that digital photo frame you bought your mum in 2010. I'm joking, but it looks like it'll be hard to miss on Inauguration night. The event, hosted by Tom Hanks, is also expected to feature a huge array of guests and artists. Unsurprisingly, Biden and Harris are also set to speak during the special entitled Celebrating America, with their remarks expected to celebrate American heroes, like frontline workers, teachers, and healthcare workers. Anyway, that's probably long enough for me to spend talking about a presidential playlist, but let me know in the comments below what you think of Biden and Harris's picks if you've actually listened, and what you think about the whole concept of political playlists. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible, and if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that's in the description.